Hello and welcome to the Long Talk here on New Zealand Sports Radio. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, or if you prefer to listen, then subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or all your favourite podcatchers. Just search for New Zealand Sports Radio. Got a real treat today. We're chatting with Julia Tilley, who is on her way to qualifying for the Olympics. How you doing, Julia?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Excited to be here.
Now, people will probably have heard this interview with Sam about a week ago, but I was just talking to Sam earlier today, and yes, I'm holding you up from training with Sam and doing some ball skills this afternoon. It's good having that crowd of you in Tauranga who are all kind of pro volleyball players. Yeah,
it's really good. We've got a good group of us here. And obviously it's a pretty beautiful place to train down at Mount Maunganui. So being able to call on people to come help you out through training is really good.
And also nicking Sam and Mike's set up court that's on the beach occasionally to train with. That's permanently there.
Yeah, that's really awesome. It just makes a difference when you're pushed for time, thinking, I don't have to set up a net and dig and all that kind of stuff. And it's quite good. Some of the public can also take advantage of that and test out their skills.
So when you're talking about digging, you're talking about for setting the poles either side, aren't you? You're not talking about around the edges or anything like that.
No, it's just when you have to put up a net every practice, you have to dig holes, put like the guide ropes in, and kind of untangle the lines, and it can come quite a bit when you're pushed for time or with bad weather and stuff like that. So really grateful to have a net already up and ready to go. Yeah,
and that's part of it, is that you guys aren't full-time professional. Well, you aren't professional athletes, don't get me wrong, but you can't dedicate your time fully to that. You have to have another income as well, because the funding's just not there in New Zealand, is there?
No, we have to work pretty much most of us full-time. Just to make sure we have income, because we don't get paid in New Zealand for just to play volleyball, unfortunately. But this COVID kind of thing has made you realise that that actually can be a positive, because we've got all these other things going on in our lives as well. It would be amazing to just be able to play and focus just on the sport.
So you're not originally from Tauranga, though. Where did you start playing volleyball?
Yeah, I started in Gisborne, so along the coast, which wasn't a big kind of volleyball city, but started there, and we had a good group of us through school that just loved and got addicted to playing, mostly through a couple of really passionate teachers who kind of instilled that love, and then just got hooked and kind of started to travel to Bay Plenty and other places to play and compete.
So what kind of age did you sort of start playing volleyball? Because for some people, obviously it's a very technical sport, so some people start later in their lives. How early were you?
I started playing indoor when I was year 9, so at high school, and then not until about I was 16 was some of the boys started training for indoor on the sand on the beach, and I just kind of invited myself and started going along to those sand sessions as well, which was, and that kind of grew that love for the beach side of things. It's definitely started, probably some people, can start really early. So 16 for me for beach volleyball, which probably is a little bit later than some.
And just having a quick look at you on LinkedIn, Sportswoman of the Year at your school in 2006, 2007, captain of the senior volleyball, netball, basketball teams. You were really into into not just volleyball, but into all your sports.
Yeah, I was quite fortunate. I went, to a smaller school. So once someone kind of picked you up as being sporty, you were kind of pulled into various different sports teams and things like that. And I loved having that variety and being involved in a bunch of different sports. Kept me really busy in winter and summer. And it wasn't probably until 7th form, like my last year of high school, that I really was focusing more on the volleyball side of things when I started making New Zealand teams. But up until that point, I was playing lots of different sports, which is great for different skills and kind of team bonding and things like that.
And And you obviously you say making those junior teams, which meant you got to go across in 2007 to play in Poland. Looks like you played in Norway and England and the Junior World Championships in Brighton the following year. Was part of the draw all that travel that you got to do?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Just traveling and seeing the beaches, and when you're that age, any kind of trip or travel overseas is very exciting. So yeah, it was definitely a pull, and something that once you see kind of your sport on an international stage, I think kind of expands your mind into where it could go or where you could take it. I remember kind of walking into like that stadium for World Champs, and compared to New Zealand, like I'd never seen anything like it, and these athletes battling it out for every point kind of made me go, wow, that's something I want to do.
So that was the kind of the wake up to the kind of level that you'd need to be. Before that, you'd kind of been sort of enjoying it and good at it, but then that was kind of the first, oh wow, that's what it means to be a professional player.
Yeah, definitely. And especially like some of the passion that those players were kind of applying. I remember walking into a game and I saw this girl like screaming, like so happy that she won the point, and I was like, oh wow, must be a really close game. And I kind of looked over at the scoreboard and it was like 2-2, and I was like, oh wow, she's like fighting for every single point. So some of the kind of those takeaways of like, oh wow, well, this person really wants it, and yeah, kind of how big in terms of spectators it is, because in New Zealand obviously it doesn't get as much exposure as internationally. So overseas, seeing that these massive stadiums packed out for people playing beach volleyball, I was like, oh wow, it's kind of a really big sport.
And do you is that something that you feed off the crowd, or are you one of these players that just gets in the zone and you don't really notice the crowd around you? What's because having talked to Olivia McDonald, she's like, yep, I love the noise, it G's me up. But talking to Francesca Kerwin, she's like, no, I just bottle it. I don't notice it when I'm playing. I'm all about the game. How do you?
I think that the crowd and knowing that it's a big performance kind of gets me more excited in the build up to the game. I'm like, oh, really? Like this is going to be a show. We can put on a performance. Like, kind of gets me excited if we know I'll be playing on the big stage. But then in the game, yeah, I kind of block it out. Obviously, you can hear bits and pieces, or if you have a really good rally, you might be like, yeah, like ramp up the crowd. But I think we've played in situations where you're playing in front of a home crowd and everyone's cheering for the team you're playing against, and it's never really fazed me. Like, I'm fine to block it out. And sometimes kind of your friends or your family will be like, did you hear me yell like this? And I'll be like, no, sorry. I was just like me and Shauna in our little bubble. So yeah, I guess a bit of both. But yeah, I think it's great playing in front of a crowd and feeling that love for the game.
So you and Shauna are pretty similar like that, because I say the Olivia and Francesca, who are also a separate team for those that don't know, a different team. They're very different personalities around that. But are you and Shauna similar?
Yeah, I think so. I think Shauna was a little bit younger than me when we first started playing, and maybe I think when you're starting out, the crowd can be more daunting than like kind of using that energy. So I think probably she started out maybe finding it a little bit more daunting, but I think now we're definitely on the same page.
Now, early on, even when we're talking about those junior world champions and stuff, you were already having to balance sort of studying and playing off to University of Waikato, Hamilton here, which is where I live, landlocked, not much beach. So how do you play beach volleyball here?
Yeah, so we used to train at Tarapa. There's some courts at Tarapa that used to be a bowling green. So there's some sand there that we could train at. But a lot of the time, our coach, when I was living in Hamilton, was in the Mount. So we were just doing a lot of travel. When Shauna and I were both there, we were traveling to the Mount every Saturday, Sunday. And then we'd just do a couple of sessions on the sand, at that Tarapa training court. And then all the other focus would kind of be on strength and conditioning stuff before we got over for the weekend with our coach.
Now that's over 10 years ago, and you're talking about traveling and playing with your same partner that you're playing with now. But you guys haven't been together for the full 10 years. You had a bit of a break in there playing with for a couple of years. How did that go? Sort of because you in volleyball you have to organise your own partnerships, don't you? That's not organised by Volleyball New Zealand because they just don't have the resources for that. It's up to you who you want to play with. How did that all come about?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, especially because the volleyball community is a little bit smaller. You kind of know everyone, and it is kind of like a relationship that you're in with someone. You've made that commitment, so it can get a little bit tricky, especially in the girls' game of like who's going to play with who and things like that. I think me and Shauna, we get along really well, so it's been really easy. There was a stage when she had finished her degree that she wanted to kind of go travel and see what she wanted to do, and if volleyball was something that she wanted to commit everything to. So she took a year and went to America, which was great for her, where she actually just ended up playing more volleyball than ever, and ended up coming back. But yeah, that was, so we didn't play together for 2 years, maybe 3. So she went to America, and then I had a different partner, and she came back and had a different partner. And now we've teamed up forces again, which was really nice to be reunited with her. But yeah, there is a little bit of feeling what people want to do and scoping out. We haven't got a massive pool of players, so if you're a front court, a blocker, or a defender, you kind of only got limited options of who you want to play with.
Yeah, and there's two, obviously beach volleyball, 2 people that they are 2 very distinct roles. Now, having seen that you've also played, you played one tournament with Olivia, who I know is a blocker. I'm assuming you're a defender.
Yes, but yeah, in saying that, me and Shauna are both probably preferred defenders, but the way that we work together and kind of what we can do as a team, we like split roles. So sometimes I'm at the net blocking, sometimes I'm defending. So that's kind of one of our strengths, in the fact that we've kind of got 2 defenders that are quite agile. And yeah, just trying to make sure at the front with the block that we might not have as much height as some of the other players, but just trying to create moves and do what we can up there as well.
So a little bit of a disagreement. I had a chat with Mike Watson, who said, look, it's good when you have 2 tall people, or you can sometimes it's harder defending. Sometimes you can switch around, and actually, if in deep sand, it's harder defending than blocking. So you can actually switch around. Perhaps sometimes you get for a rest. When I talk to Sam O'D, he's like, no. Blocking is harder than defending. It takes up more energy. Which way round do you think it is? Is it do you find it's blocking or defending that you find it's more tiring of the 2?
I'm actually going to agree with Sam. I think blocking, because you're always running to the net, like you have to be there. Whereas defending, I guess there is a couple of times you can kind of catch your breath a little bit while you're waiting for everything to play out. But yeah, to be honest, I love cardio, so I'm like, neither one's that tiring. But yeah, everyone has their own argument. And
I'll be honest, seeing photos of the 2 of you when you won the tournament, so anyone who thought that beach volleyball, hey, it's this beach cool, trendy, kind of just laid back kind of sport, and then we see the pictures of you guys. No, it's a very athletic sport. You guys have to be absolutely ripped to play this and take it very seriously as athletes, don't you? It's not just all the music and the fun side of things.
No, definitely, yeah. You have to be very fit to play, and I think people that just watch it, and we sometimes can make it look easy, and then they get down on the sand and kind of try and give it a go themselves, and they start being like, man, how do you guys move in that sand? And yeah, you have to be very agile in your movements, but also very explosive and powerful. So yeah, it is a sport that naturally people are very athletic and kind of need both power and speed to kind of really make an impact.
Are they? And then we talked about that you're working full time off it. I see you've done a bit of you're a teacher for a little while. You've done some sports coordination, and now you're schools and volunteers manager for Sanitarium and the triathlon. How easy has it been to sort of to settle into and figure out what you actually wanted to do off the court to support being able to play on the court?
Yeah, decision making is not my strongest point, so I kind of yo-yo back and forth. But I'm really lucky. I think for me the one thing is just flexibility, finding something that I can do off court that offers that flexibility. And my boss at the moment is also a volleyball player, ex-volleyball player and coach. So that's really good that we have that kind of understanding of working hard, but then also having a little bit of flexibility to be able to do things abroad, or for example, I work from home, which is great because it kind of means I can move my schedule around, what I've got going on. And then teaching, I think, like I know I have a love and a passion for like working with kids, but that teaching doesn't really offer much flexibility in terms of not taking time off outside of like school holidays and things like that. But it has been really useful for me just to pick up the leaving and things like that. So I think I'm quite lucky with my qualifications that they are quite flexible and things that I can do.
Yeah. So when you're on tour, obviously there's just the two of you. You don't have any coach or physios or anyone with you. You have to manage your own time, I guess. And part of that is saying, right, 2 hours in the morning is working before we go to a tournament, or in the evening, and blocking all that out and having to balance kind of an office space in your hotel room plus actually having to train as well, or play. Sorry.
Yeah, which is, it's good in the fact that a lot of the time we do have a lot of downtime, like when you're not competing, when you're just training or in the build up. It's just kind of making sure that you have your workload when you're not exhausted. Like you've come home, you've done 2 trainings, and you're like, I really should do some work, which doesn't always work out. But yeah, most of the time I kind of know how much time I'm going to have, so I'll try to stack my work before I go, or kind of give people a heads up I might take a little longer to get back to them. But yeah, I'm pretty proactive at making use of my time and making sure I get some hours in there.
Yeah, it must be kind of difficult when when you're on the road, you're sharing a hotel room with somebody. I'm assuming you don't get your own rooms, and both of you having to try to set up on the desk and find work time, and all that juggling. Having someone that you get on with is really kind of important. It's not just how you play together on the court, is it? It's also how you get on off the court, because you do spend a lot of time in each other's back pocket.
Yeah, a lot of time. We're pretty much with each other 24/7. Yeah, we're sharing a room. On the odd occasion, when you try to save money, maybe even sharing a bed, or like staying at someone else's house, or bits and pieces. So yeah, it is really important that you get along well, and you kind of learn to know them and when they might need space or things like that. But yeah, with Shauna at the moment, we kind of have spent so much time together that we're pretty good. We get along really well, and yeah, that's the thing, because with beach volleyball there's so much time out of actually playing when you're touring and stuff, that's kind of half the fun or half the equation of making a team work.
And looking at your results, you're 30 now. You've been playing for over a decade. This, but if I look at the string of results, you've started. It's really kind of this year when you've been putting back-to-back national tour wins together. I know Mike also talked about the fact that a lot of the top players are in their kind of late 30s, maybe even early 40s on the men's side. It's a sport that you kind of learn it, that takes a while to get to learn and mature into.
Yeah, that's one of the really good things about it. Is one, you can play for a long time because of the impact, like playing on sand. That's so good for your body because it gets rid of that impact, and it's kind of really easy to manage injuries and things like that. And then because it is such a mental game, and it's really skill based, it does take a while for people to kind of get the hang of it. And you can see kind of really tall athletic people that you're going, whoa, you can see kind of older, short people just like outskill them almost. So that's one positive about being an older person playing on the tour, is that you can kind of draw on your experience and your mental game to trying to get one over on your opponents.
So, have you thought about how long you might be might be playing for?
Yeah, I guess for me, the thing that drives a lot of my commitment is like just a love of the game. Like I really enjoy, especially living where I am at the moment, that the beach is right there. It's so easy to go down and play. It's really enjoyable to just play rather than like being in the gym or kind of doing cardio and stuff. Having a couple of games of beach volleyball, the enjoyment that I get out of it is really good. But in saying that, I think a lot of my enjoyment is linked to winning. As long and when that stops happening, then it'll probably end pretty quickly. But yeah, at the moment, I don't really see a reason to stop because kind of, yeah, I'm really loving it. I had a really fun season. We got really good results. And then, yeah, it's just kind of figuring out my timeline in terms of what I want to do with other things in my life. But yeah, at the moment, I'm happy playing and keen to continue on as long as I'm learning and increasing my skills and things like that.
And the one of the things we talked about with on the Sam one was how disruptive or how disrupted this Olympic preparation and qualifying has been, because you initially were supposed to, I think you were supposed to have a qualifier in Fiji that got disrupted by the measles. So you were all preparing for that, and then it didn't happen. Then it was hosted. It got hosted in Mount Maunganui instead, where you did very well. Came second, I think it was.
Yeah.
So through to phase 2. Now that was supposed to happen in China probably about this sort of time, but that's also been cancelled or postponed. Sorry, now until later. How have you found that sort of, I guess, preparing for an event, then it not happening, then it's happening, then it's not happening, then it's happening? How has that been from a psychological performance point of view?
Yeah, it's been a little bit frustrating, especially when you're building everything up and then it's like, oh no, yes, no. But I think the Kiwi kind of attitude is that we are quite good at going with the flow and just kind of, yeah, getting on with it. So I think we're in a better situation than some of those bigger countries. And it kind of, to me, I kind of like the fact that it almost might level the playing field a little bit, is that everyone in the world at the moment is in the same boat. You cannot train full time. You might not be able to get near a court or a beach. So it means that people are having to be use their imagination with their training, but it also might mean that some of those powerhouse countries who are usually competing all year round aren't going to be able to. So maybe when we meet back up, we might have more of an advantage because we're used to kind of using our time and not being able to train full time.
And also talking about those powerhouse countries, a lot of their setups are around a sort of 4-year cycle heading towards Olympics, etc. Looking at yourself, you and you got back together with your current partner at the beginning of last year, so like 2 years out, or a year and a half out from the Olympics. Do you have a 4-year plan, or is it a year-by-year plan? How do you structure sorry, how do you structure your kind of your planning?
Yeah, I guess it's probably for us more like 2-year plans rather than 4-year plans, just because of the financial support and kind of what we're able to do. We kind of more want to fold up and then just really go for it in a shorter space of time, because we don't have that luxury of spending a whole 4 years kind of figuring it out. So yeah, I think you always have a bigger plan somewhere in there, but I think if you know there's something big, for example Commonwealth Games or something like that 2 years out, you kind of want to make some more sacrifices than what you already are, in terms of, hey, we're going to be away for 6 whole months or something like that, as opposed to trying to drag it out over 4 years, where some players in New Zealand might not be able to fully commit to that.
So one of the things is that now you're going to have the Olympics sort of in the sort of July next year, I think it is, and then the following year you'll have the Commonwealth Games. So that's a 2-year piece. So does that mean are you starting to think, okay, look, there's 2 big championships in 2 years. Now's a really good chance for us to go big for those 2?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a real advantage for us with that Commonwealth year being, the year after an Olympic year. It means you can kind of have that build up to the Olympic qualifiers like we've already started, but that can just roll on to the next kind of tournament. So I think that worked out for us actually really well. And in terms of like potentially getting funding or any sponsor support or things like that, you can kind of pitch it like you're going for 2 goals rather than kind of 1.
So how much of Sports New Zealand, or the government came out and said, look, the Sports New Zealand funding would stay the same for an extra year. They wouldn't reevaluate it like they do every 4 years. So does that mean, do you get much funding from there, or is it all self-funding that you have to gather?
Yeah, unfortunately not. We're kind of trying to lift the profile and help us out a bit. But yeah, where the athletes aren't really seeing any of that funding yet. So yeah, and like for the past 10 years, it's literally been self-funded, and then the support of local sponsors, and then kind of prize money, and then just kind of like people in the community, mum and dad. So yeah, it's a big commitment, and it's definitely something you kind of have to do because you have that love and that passion, or else it doesn't really work financially. But when you're kind of getting that joy out of it, you can kind of see more of a reason for putting some money and investment kind of into it.
So, do you want to give a shout out to any of your any of the sponsors that you have at the moment, or that they've been sponsoring you for recently?
Yeah, we have an environmental company in the Mount, Tauranga, called Inspire. I've kind of been on the journey with me and Shauna for at least 8 years. And we had like the Casey Clinic, who helped me and my partner financially, and just a lot of it as well was just that support. Might not necessarily be financial, but those people in your corner that are there for like advice, like our coach Mike Judson, who just coaches us for nothing, but for his own passion. So, and then like parents and friends and family, having people in your corner that kind of following your journey, saying congratulations, people following you online and things like that. That really helps when you're overseas as well. Just to know that people are behind you and kind of backing you.
Talking about following online, you have a Facebook page, Julia Tilley, a New Zealand beach volleyball player, folks. If you want to follow, 10,000 people following you. That's a pretty decent page you've built up there.
Yeah, I think probably 75% of them are random, probably Asian males from overseas, who followed along as we've been touring around. But yeah, it's great. And a lot of locals, like people from Brisbane, that know my family and things like that. I think it's a really good, platform to kind of keep people up to date, and there'll kind of be people that you'll see and they'll be like, oh, I saw you did this and that. So it is cool to use that social media to kind of keep people up to date who are interested in your journey and kind of where you're at.
So, and how important is that to you? Is that to you? I mean, is part of that to raise your profile so it's easier to get sponsorship, or is it purely just because you're trying to grow the sport, more kind of I guess altruistic kind of side of it?
Yeah, I think social media is really important for sponsors. You put in a pitch or something, one of the first things that they're going to do is kind of like look you up or see kind of what kind of presence you do have. And I think just because of marketing and digital marketing content for businesses these days is so important, that just shows that you could have content for them. So I think that's important. But also just, raising the profile. I think it's cool having young kids and people kind of aspiring to play beach volleyball, for them to kind of see that there is a pathway and that people in New Zealand are out there doing it, playing on the world tour, things like that. Just like kind of like keep that connection.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Whilst there is a path to get there, there isn't really a high performance pathway at the moment within beach volleyball. It is very self motivated, very self discovery, very self funded, as we've talked about here. There isn't really that pathway, is there?
No, there's there's not. And I mean, it's kind of, you can kind of see that where you see that at the school level. It's one of the biggest high school tournament weeks. We have like so many teams, biggest participation, and then kind of once you get out of that age when you've got a coach and someone organising things and telling you what to do, that next level there's a very big drop off in numbers, and that is because no one's kind of holding your hand and organising everything for you and telling you what time you have to be at training. So yeah, I think that's something that we're trying to grow and kind of find the reason why people would keep playing and kind of entice them to keep playing for as long as possible.
So how long has it taken you to, or when did you kind of sort of learn your body, learn about the nutrition side of things, learn how much rest versus how much training you needed? How long did that take you to sort of, I guess, figure out how to be a professional athlete as opposed to being a very good volleyball player?
Time, I think it's only in the last like 5 years that in terms of like all of New Zealand, I think we're a bit behind the times in terms of like some of that kind of stuff. Like I remember when I was growing up, even if I was in teams or high performance groups, like a lot of the time we were like, do a couple of stretches, but then we were jumping straight on the court and hitting balls and going straight into kind of gameplay and things like that. And in the weights room and things like that. I feel like when I first started, that kind of all of those different aspects weren't as important or highlighted as they are kind of now. But it's been really good, like learning about that stuff and kind of incorporating it over time into my different programs and things like that. But I would say, the first kind of 3 to 5 years when I was playing, even though I was in New Zealand teams and things like that, I was focusing more on court than the off court stuff. And probably, in the last 5 to 7 years, it's kind of turned more holistic into all those different parts and kind of the psychology and nutrition and things outside of the game that have a massive impact on the court.
Yeah, when I was talking with Olivia, she mentioned how that she had been massive into weights and then found that actually had to learn her body more, and actually perhaps that wasn't the right way to go. A lot of the research also is this is something I found out when I talked to the women's coach from Hawke's Bay for the rugby team there, that a lot of the research is done on men and then just said, oh, well, look, it applies to everybody. Females also different. You've different hormones, etc. Do you find, have you also learned about how to sort of during the month to sort of there's certain times you're better off doing cardio or better off doing weights and learning your body from that point of view as well?
Yeah, that's something like that kind of research that's only kind of arisen in the last 5 years as well. But all of that stuff's super interesting. I kind of was always in the mentality of I just went as hard as I could all the time. Was how I kind of used to train. I really like flirting with that kind of line of overtraining but getting the most out of every second. But I think more so in the last 5 years I've kind of learned to listen to your body more and kind of for myself mentally in terms of just because you're not lifting as heavy this day or you don't feel like you're really fit today, that's not kind of an outcome of how your training's been going, that sometimes you can have a break, like importance of rest days, or maybe just not being so hard on yourself and just saying, well, I'm going to try like do something different next week and have a couple of days off, or kind of taking those mental breaks as well as listening to your body.
Yeah, one of the things that amazed me, I did an article a few years back called A Week in the Life of a Rugby Player, and talking about what they did kind of each day on a regular week. And it ends up being something like 4 out of their 7 days is basically recuperation and trying to recover. And actually they only get a couple of days training and 1 game a week. And the rest of the time is actually getting massages, trying to get in the pool, and that sort of thing. So rest is as important as activity quite often in these sort of things. Talking of these, I mean, the things like the rugby clubs and stuff have arrangements with sports massage and physiotherapists about getting taped up or getting massage. How do you cope with that when you're actually on the road? Have you taken some massage courses or some taping courses so you can help each other out?
Yeah, we're pretty good now. I did a massage course back in school. I don't know how good it was, but even this lockdown has just made me realize how many skills I've kind of learned in terms of rehab and stuff. So like at the moment in my lounge, I've got like a trigger ball, I've got a massage gun, I've got a cupping set, I've got like ice packs, warming things, like there's bunch of different sizes, rollers and balls and everything you can kind of imagine, which kind of keeps you going. But now when we travel, we're taking a lot of that stuff with us, and kind of Shauna and I both know our little spots. It'll be like for warm up, and she'll be like, "Yeah, can you just grab my the top of my shoulders and just squeeze them for 30 seconds?" Or I'll get her to kind of do different bits and pieces. But definitely the more you learn about your own body and what you need, I think it's really important. But also we rely on really good physios in New Zealand for weekly release and things like that.
Yeah, it's amusing because talking with Sammy's like, it's pretty much a low equipment sport. You need a ball, the bikini or the shorts and singlet, sunglasses, visor. That's pretty much it. And then you go and say, well, actually, we also need the massage gun, the ball, the rollers. That's quite a lot of kit to travel around, especially when you haven't got an airline sponsor to cover your baggage allowance.
Yes. So now our bags, it used to be actually quite easy when I first started playing. It was like, bikinis and a couple of sarongs and bits and pieces. But now when I pack my bag, like half of my bag is actually full of like proteins and electrolytes and rehab equipment I talked about and bits and pieces. It's quite good when you use most of the same stuff. Like when Shauna and I are packing for a trip, we'll be like, okay, you bring this, I'll bring this, you bring that. To kind of make sure that you've got it covered. And there's places that you can buy things overseas and things like that. But along the years, my equipment and kind of nutrition stuff has grown with every trip. So now it feels like I come back with a half empty bag because you kind of used all the things you need and things like that.
So interesting on that nutrition side of things. Do you find that certain stops or certain, because there's kind of an Asia tour that happens in the kind of sort of March, April, May kind of time, isn't there? And then there's the European tour that's sort of June, July, August. Do you find it's easier or harder to get the nutrition stuff in either of those two locations? So is Europe easier than Asia, or Asia easier than Europe for that kind of stuff?
Places in Asia, it can be very, very tough actually. That's where we kind of go. Sometimes like in China and Vietnam and things like that, that's where we're packing all those quick meals or protein bars and things like that we kind of really have to call on them. And it kind of just depends what region you go to. There's a stop we go to in Vietnam, which is right by the ocean, and you go to your meals that they put on for you, and it's just like all seafood, which is a real delicacy over there, and they're thinking that they're putting on the best spread in the world for us, but having like squid legs and oysters, like some things, when you look at the water you're like, I'm not eating that. And in China, it can be really hard if you're not playing in like some of those bigger cities to feel like you're getting any nutrition at all. And it kind of depends on how fussy of an eater you are, but sometimes you're having rice and soy sauce for dinner, which isn't ideal. So that's when all those other bits and pieces and supplements and things, you kind of really feel like you need those so you can keep performing.
Yeah, and for those of you that people haven't traveled around Southeast Asia, some of the things to avoid are things like actually the salads, because they've been washed in water and uncooked, and you think that's actually kind of how can lettuce be dangerous as far as getting food poisoning or an upset stomach? Well, no, actually that's one of the things you avoid. I played at a social hockey tournament in Vietnam, and as you say, the dinner, one of the courses was this coconut, and they'd hung raw prawns around the outside, and then lit fire lighters, and they were cooked by paraffin, which was an interesting taste for the prawns. But yeah, as you say, yeah, it's a very different style of cuisine. Don't get me wrong, I love Asian cuisine, but yeah, some of the more local dishes can be a bit harder to stomach.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're in two different mindsets. Like when we're building up to a tournament, what you're eating and things like that is so different than when you're just being a tourist and kind of don't have a build up. Like you'll see us and before a tournament we're so fussy because we know about like the guts and what could happen if you're kind of branching out, and then kind of like the tournament's over and we're going out and kind of trying the street food and different bits and pieces. But yeah, building up to a tournament, you just have to be so strict about what you're putting in your body, and yeah, it's just the way it is sometimes in some of those countries.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, ours was a very social tournament, as in we drank more than we played. But nowhere near the kind of level you're talking about. But yeah, some of the experiences in those countries can be are fantastic experiences, but not necessarily designed around high performance, as you say. But then again, Europe is much more expensive. So do you find those European tours, whilst you'd love to go on them, that you perhaps can't get to as many? Can't stay as long as you'd like to?
Yeah, definitely. Asia is definitely where we travel to the most. Kind of it's our zone, and because it is really cheap to live and be there for food, accommodation, things like that. So when we do go to tournaments in Asia, it is kind of weighing up kind of money and things like that. It is a lot further and accommodation costs and bits and pieces. So yeah, we definitely take that into consideration. The good thing with New Zealand is we kind of are really good at hosting people. So then you feel like when you travel that you kind of have a lot of favours out there. So it's good when you go to those different places that you can call on someone that you've maybe put up in your house before or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like so Francesca Kerwin, who I've also interviewed. If you want to go back and listen to that interview, you can do on the long talk. But yeah, she's got a family home in Italy, which helps them when they go stay over there. It sounds like the boys' teams have got a connection with Germany and a German coach, and so again, it looks like they've got a base there that they can use. If you've not got that, it does make it very difficult to spend the 2 months or so that you need over there. Otherwise, it's not worth flying that far just for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And become tournaments. Cool. I think I've got through most of my questions. Thank you so much for taking us through your journey. Have I missed out? Actually, Sam told us a story of them learning about a tournament the next day and then driving overnight to get to that tournament and playing. Any kind of weird tour stories or kind of mishaps that you've experienced over the years?
So many. There was one that we all, the New Zealand team, got quite a laugh out of, including Sam actually. We played this event in Vietnam. It was really hot, and we had just narrowly lost this game in the third set. So I was sitting on the stands, kind of being like, oh, I just want to get out of here, get back to the hotel, not in the best mood, just sitting watching a game. And then someone approached me and kind of said, like, hey, can you do an interview with the local paper? And I thought to myself that I'll do the good thing here and kind of give back to the people that were kind of hosting the tournament for us. So I sat down with this guy for probably 15 minutes and I just kind of told him everything I thought he might want to hear about that. I really love the city and that people were friendly. I love playing here. And he was asking if about the food, if I liked the cuisine. I said that I didn't really like the spicy food, but I loved all the fresh fruit, like the rock melons and watermelons and stuff that they were putting on at the hotel. And so he got all the stuff, and then he got a really nice picture of me holding my volleyball in front of the sponsor sign. And I thought, okay, I've done a good job there. He'll have a good little article to put in the local paper. Then we went back to the hotel, and the next morning there was like a big players notice board in the foyer. And we walk out, and there's pinned like the front page of this newspaper, and it's this photo of me like blowing up, and it's not the one in front of the sponsors. It's just me watching this game. And I've just got my hands on my face and I'm just looking just horrible and just looking really sad. It must have been after we lost. So I used that photo. And then the headline is, Tilley loves melons. And that's why he got from the interview. I couldn't read the rest, but yeah, they'd just taken that So the rest of that trip, it was just, Julia likes the melons. It was actually pretty funny, but yeah, I don't know how he got that from what I said, but yeah.
Thank you very much for that story. Thank you very much for your time. People, check out Julia's Facebook page. We will keep track of all of the tournaments she's playing in. You'll see her raising cups in the air and stuff with her teammate. And obviously, we'll get to help her get more sponsors by having more exposure as well. So thank you very much for your time, and good training with Sam this afternoon. Everybody, please do like our Facebook page, New Zealand Sports Radio. And if you prefer to listen, then do check out New Zealand Sports Radio on Acast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and any other podcatchers. And keep an eye out for more interviews on The Long Talk.